Team USA took the gold in men's hockey. Team USA took the gold in women's hockey. Team USA has a shot at winning the World Cup, and Team USA also has a shot at winning the World Baseball Classic. A really good start so far for the red, white, and blue. First win over Mexico in 20 years, and the Stars, they shined. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. Here, hour number 2 begins with Team USA playing Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. We always talk about when you need your best players to step up. We saw Jack Hughes doing it in the Olympics, golden goal. We've seen a lot of players that do it on the international stage. Saw Messi doing it at the World Cup. And it's good now to see, as we go deeper into this World Baseball Classic, once again our team doing the same thing.
For sure, and obviously Paul Skenes had a great night. He striked out 7 batters with 4 scoreless innings. So, we covered the Southeast here, and we know Paul Skenes from LSU. So it's great to see him doing good things. Yeah, the former LSU star, as you mentioned, a great day. And then also had Aaron Judge, had a home run in the game. And Anthony was also really solid. Patrick, you are a resident baseball guy. You've played the deepest of any of us as far as in our life playing organized baseball. What did you make of Team USA's performance?
Yeah, well, this was probably the absolute worst-case scenario for Pirates fans because Paul Skenes is actually having fun playing the sport of baseball again. So
for the first time since Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah, first time since Jay Johnson got him to come to the boot. But, no, all jokes aside, this was an absolutely dominating performance. I remember watching in 2023, Joey Meneses hit 2 home runs against Team USA and ended up upsetting the Americans. And the big storyline coming into this game was USA hasn't beaten Mexico in 20 years, so how are they going to be able to get it done? Well, I think this year they have a better roster than they did in 23. The roster they had in 23 was kind of, I don't want to say over the hump, but I mean, Trout was starting to decline a little bit. There was no Aaron Judge, who has been arguably the top 2 baseball player in the league for the last, I want to say 5 or so years now. You could even go back all the way to 2017. But this was such a big win for the Americans, and especially Paul Skenes, because all of the pressure in the world was on him. He was the go-to guy. He's probably the best pitcher that USA has right now. I'm going to say he's better than Tarik Skubal, which might be a little bit of a
hot take,
crazy statement. But it's just the only reason why they're not being compared to is because Skubal's had a team that can actually go to the playoffs, and Skenes does not. And Skenes has better stuff. I know some people that are now covering baseball. I'm talking to you, Simone Eli. If Simone Eli is watching this show right now, first of all, hi. And second, stuff is just synonymous with baseball. So unfortunately, it's a good thing that we like to talk about.
Yeah, Skenes definitely has his stuff going on. That is for dang sure. And I think too, and this might be a backhanded compliment, I think he also knows, and I hate to even put it this way, he also knows that this might be the only real thing he'll win in baseball. He can't win a national championship. His team is not winning the World Series. So give everything to the World Baseball Classic because this is his first chance to win anything of significance.
So can you guys break down exactly what the stuff is?
I think Patrick can do it more from a technical standpoint than I can. I'll give you the very rudimentary the umbrella take. The stuff is basically have you heard of what's in somebody's bag? Like they're not bag as far as money goes,
like
but just
bag of tricks, like a basketball player.
Correct.
Yes. It's like things that are in your game that you can rely on. The more of those things you have in your game that you can rely on to play at a high level, the more stuff you actually have.
Got it. That makes sense.
But Patrick could probably speak to it more technically to what actually Skenes has.
Well, first off, for starters, when you throw 100 miles an hour and you're still in college, that's ridiculous as is. Obviously, a big get for Jay Johnson coming over from the Air Force Academy. I remember the big storyline was you're really not supposed to be able to transfer out of one of the military institutions, and Paul Skenes got an exception just because he was so good at what he does. Obviously, the fastball is the big one. Really, in my eyes, that's not even his best pitch because he almost throws like a sinker splitter. He calls it a splinker, but the reason why it's kind of a mix of both is because when you throw 102 miles an hour, you still have a off-speed pitch / changeup that isn't really what a changeup is. Usually changeups sit. Nowadays, a lot of people do throw the splitters, which just the bottom falls out on you, and it's like it sits right around 91, 92. His sits like 94, 95, almost like Joan Duran over there on the Twins. I mean, absolute nasty stuff, and there is absolutely no way I mean, no way anyone can truly hit this man. 60 pitches, decently efficient. Again, it's early in the season. I mean, we're still ramping things up here, but 7 strikeouts over 4 innings. That just goes to show you how good he truly is.
Is he still dating? This is here,
Yes,
here
he
nor
is.
there.
I
Is
already
he still
know
dating?
where you're going.
I was
Yes,
going to
he is.
add that on. He's also dating Livy Dunn.
Yeah,
So hopefully she was there to watch.
I don't
always
think I
around.
saw her.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. She probably is
Honestly,
pulling the Taylor Swift where it's like, don't show me.
Don't
Yeah,
show
don't,
me.
well, that also,
For
and then
safety, guys.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
safety.
for safety.
But then also too, she might be like, hey, you know, let's wait till the semifinals or the finals to be front and center, and then she'll just be all over the
Wow,
place.
okay.
Maybe I have absolutely no idea. But the way Skenes is going right now, this team will punch their ticket. It's been the offense, it's been the defense, but especially the pitching. Here is Paul Skenes on his night.
Yeah, I think I gave up 1 hit, but it didn't matter because Judge threw him out at third. One of the best throws I've seen. It was awesome. Great atmosphere. Nice to feel like I'm doing something rather than just, taking up a hotel room and eating all the free meals. So good to go out there and do my job. Yeah, I've had, about 3 years now, and like as much as stuff changes, it all kind of stays the same. It's all baseball. So, obviously it's the biggest stage, but it hasn't changed all that much. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I have one thing here on Skenes that I find interesting. This whole situation reminded me a lot of the Miami Heat. Do you remember when LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade all got together and they played in Miami? Few people remember this, but that whole thing got started with Team USA. They went to the Olympics together, and there were talks 2 years beforehand about those two teams getting together. Do you think there's any backhand conversations that are being had with Skenes and or people in Major League Baseball to get him on one of the power players? Because it seems to me, like you mentioned at the top of this, that he's having a lot of fun playing high-end baseball. I can't think that this is an all baseball trip. Some of this, even if it's 5%, reminds me this has to be a little bit of business as well, what his future looks like.
Well, he also did just talk about how he's just eating all the free food. And I mean, he is having a nice hotel room stay. But no, I definitely think there are some minor conversations, probably lighthearted. They all know what the task is at hand. Mm-hmm. It's to defend home turf. Obviously, they went out and lost to Japan in the World Baseball Classic final 3 years ago after winning it back in 2016. Right. So I definitely think there's some sort of talks happening here, but I feel like he's just focused right now. He's going to get so much money.
That part's,
Scooble's going to get a ton of money whenever that comes, probably going to be this year if the Tigers are smart. If the Tigers let him go, they are exactly what's wrong with baseball. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to keep your homegrown stars. But whenever Paul Skenes is ready for that first contract, it is going to set a record for a starting pitcher. Take Ohtani out of this because he plays the field too and he hits.
Right.
That's an anomaly.
Yes. Yeah.
Paul Skenes is going to command $400 million.
Right.
Genuinely going to.
Yeah. And if I'm him, I do it all on the front end. I don't do it what
no
Ohtani
deferrals.
did.
Absolutely no. Get the deferrals out of here.
No deferrals out of here. Another guy that's been shining for the Kansas City Royals. You also have Bobby Witt Jr., who has been phenomenal as well here in the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, a really nice start here. And Patrick, I think you'd agree that this is a chance for guys to kind of create a runway for themselves before the Major League Baseball season gets here, and looks like he's taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a noted Mets fan on the show, but I will admit that Bobby Witt Jr. is the best shortstop in baseball right now. He is probably just, we're talking like this much better than Francisco Lindor.
Right.
If Lindor wouldn't have some of the worst starts to the season that any superstar could have, like the season's going to start here in about 3 weeks from now, and I guarantee you, I would go ahead and put some money on it now. Best bets, here we go. Before the season even starts, Francisco Lindor is going to bat below 250 to start the first month.
Yeah.
It always happens, and then he just magically seems to figure it out. And that's why, unfortunately, I don't think he's ever going to win MVP. It's just because he starts off so slow that he cannot truly be considered as the most valuable player. But Bobby Witt Jr. he's got great speed. Some of those defensive plays I saw last night were out of this world. I mean, it just makes you wonder how in the world someone can do this. But he's also pretty good with a bat, too.
Yeah, no question about it. What interests you at all, if anything, about this World Baseball Classic? Is there anything that's going to get you to a TV for all 9 innings?
Well, I was going to say I did watch the highlights when I knew this was going to be in the show today, and I saw those 2 diving catches by Witt Jr., and I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I know Patrick's going to want to talk
Baseball
about that
is entertaining people.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
I'm
it is.
trying.
In small spurts.
It's making a resurgence. I think that there's 2 kind of schools of thought that baseball is really trying to fight. They're trying to fight the narrative that it's slow paced and boring. Well, they've added a pitch clock. They've added rules to speed the game up, and we're seeing it play out in Major League. So I think that people who are on the fence, my sister being one, there's a lot of sports fans who kind of checked out of baseball a while ago, and they're all starting to kind of come back. And I feel like that there's going to be a resurgence here, and maybe the World Baseball Classic can kind of be the catalyst for that.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that with hockey. I feel like a lot of people really didn't talk that much about hockey. ESPN kind of like put it to the side in favor of the NBA and NFL once they got the coverage. And then the Four Nations last year really got a lot of eyes on it. And then obviously the Olympics again. And everyone's been talking about hockey. I've never seen so many people talk about the sport, and I think it's a great thing. And I definitely think this could have an effect on the World Baseball Classic with the sport of baseball. I know attendance values are way up, but everyone knows by now there's an impending lockout after this season. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to have, if we do get baseball, it's going to be like 20 games in 2027 because this is such a big lockout ahead for the sport. It really is make or break. But just got to focus on the World Baseball Classic right now. And USA gets Italy tonight, who honestly are probably one of the surprisers in this year's World Baseball Classic at 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, as you see there, both teams are undefeated. I am interested in countries that where baseball is growing, and just to see if I still think the United States is still head and shoulders above everybody, but I do like seeing where the rest of the world is as far as being able to be competitive.
Correct, and I feel like it doesn't get more American than baseball. Like, sitting at a baseball game with a hot dog in your hand, like that just feels like America. So I'm interested to see, watching these other countries and how they've kind of adapted to the American culture in a sense when it comes to baseball.
And there is no one more American than my guy, Nolan McLean, who's going to take the ball for Team USA. Allow me to get on my high horse here about this guy, because I was so high on him when he made his MLB debut last year. Former Oklahoma State star, was a two-way player. We were talking with Holden Krusemark out of Oklahoma City. I don't think anybody truly expected the run that he had heading into last year. Set new Mets records for wins in the first 3 starts. He went 5-1 last year. A 2 ERA. This guy is going to be a major problem for years to come. And I mean, manager Mark DeRosa has already committed to him and said, hey, if we make it to the championship game, you're going to be the starter. And I think that's the greatest thing that Mets fans could honestly hear, because this is probably going to be their next ace. It's going to take probably a few years, but I almost feel a Jacob deGrom-esque type player. I'm not going to say he is Jacob deGrom, because nobody is prime Jacob deGrom with what he was able to do. Maybe a Noah Syndergaard. It almost kind of feels like a Matt Harvey in the way. Where he really came up, dominated, and it'll be good to see him get some meaningful experience here and some I'll use the word playoff experience lightly, because this kind of is a playoff, even though it is exhibition, but meaningful starts for a young kid who is going to take a major role in a major market.
No question about it. With all the non-American teams, you like to see the guys that you recognize. So obviously, the Dominican Republic, they're filled with Major League Baseball players. Same thing with Mexico, lots of Major League Baseball players on that team as well. And teams that you don't necessarily think of, for me, it's Italy. I don't necessarily think of baseball, but there is one player, and I have to do it the same way that we do Tommy DeVito and do this. I can't think of Jack Caglione without doing a little bit of this action. The former Florida Star could suit up here for Team Italy. Do you think we see him tonight?
I think so. I mean, he probably just got a night off against Great Britain. I mean, just going back to what he did in Omaha just a few years ago, I think there was a game where he hit a home run and came out and pitched like 7 innings on the mound, and I'm like, man, is this guy really trying to make a run at Shohei Ohtani? But he is one of those guys that is going to be a superstar for the Kansas City Royals. I know 2025 wasn't really a good year for him, but sometimes it takes some guys to get to learn how to handle yourself at the next level. Take some time to develop chemistry, and we've talked with a few baseball players on this show already. It is such, like golf, it is such a mentally straining sport, so to speak.
Right.
Because there's 162 games in a season. You can't get too high, you can't get too low, and it's taxing on the body.
And I think there's going to be a lot of emotion coming out of this World Baseball Classic. Want to see how it filters into the MLB regular season once we get there.
Right. And I feel like, Patrick, maybe you can speak to this. Is there a little more excitement around the game when it comes to playing in a classic like this versus thinking about like your whole long season ahead?
Yeah. When there's electricity in a stadium, when you take a look at some of the other countries like the Dominican Republic, like Puerto Rico, I feel like the U.S. kind of treats this as like an exhibition still, which is a little bit unfortunate because those U.S. players at the Olympics definitely didn't treat that like an exhibition. But you take a look at some of these fan bases, like Puerto Rico, like the Dominican Republic.
Right.
This is their World Series.
No question.
This is absolutely the most important event for them. And I almost feel like when you have that added energy in a stadium, it just makes it so much better. It truly does feel like the playoffs in March. And it really is hard to get up for all 162 games in a regular season, especially when you're playing like, no offense to Kansas City or by any means, but if you're playing on a random Wednesday day game in Kansas City, like how do you get up for that game?
Yeah, it doesn't have
just doesn't have that juice.
Doesn't have the same juice at all. They will have it tonight.